Hello and welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be reading, we could be reading from Wuthering Heights, chapters 3 and 4. And I'm expecting some people to come along, but for now it's just me. The idea is that when people do come along, they can join me in my Discord. Let me actually put the main Discord page up just in case I need it. And I have it there. Good. Okay. Well, I think we're ready to begin. So, I see, share my screen, I can do it from there. But, I mean, this kind of works. So, let's get started with chapter 3 of Wuthering Heights. Okay. Chapter 3. While leading the way upstairs, she recommended that I should hide the candle and not make a noise, for her master had an odd notion about the chamber she would put me in, and never let anybody lodge there willingly. I asked the reason. She did not know, she answered. She had only lived there a year or two, and they had so many queer goings on, she could not begin to be curious. Too stupefied to be curious myself, I fastened my door and glanced round for the bed. The whole furniture consisted of a chair, a clothes press, and a large oak case with squares cut out near the top resembling coach windows. Having approached this structure, I looked inside and perceived it to be a singular sort of old-fashioned couch, very conveniently designed to obviate the necessity for every member of the family having a room to himself. In fact, it formed a little closet, and the ledge for window which it enclosed served as a table. I slid back the panelled sides, got in with my light, pulled them together again, and felt secure against the vigilance of Heathcliff and everyone else. Hey, Angel Warriors! Hello! You are welcome to join me in my Discord if you want to do some reading. I'm well, thank you. How are you? I've forgotten where I was. That's a good start, isn't it? Maybe let's highlight a paragraph at a time. I think that's where I was. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're very sick. Um, well, hopefully you can sit back and enjoy the stream. I mean, that's why you're here. I really hope you get better, though. I slid back the panelled sides, got in with my light, pulled them together again, and felt secure against the vigilance of Heathcliff and everyone else. The ledge where I placed my candle had a few mildewed books piled up in one corner, and it was covered with writing scratched on the paint. This writing, however, was nothing but a name repeated in all kinds of characters, large and small. Catherine Earnshaw, here and there varied to Catherine Heathcliff, and then again to Catherine Linton. In vapid listlessness, I leant my head against the window and continued spelling over Catherine Earnshaw, Heathcliff, Linton, till my eyes closed. But they had not rested 5 minutes when a glare of white letters started from the dark as vivid as spectres. The air swarmed with Catherine's, and rousing myself to dispel the obtrusive name, I discovered my candle wick reclining on one of the antique volumes and perfuming the place with an odour of roasted calfskin. I'm glad you love the stream, Angel Warriors. I snuffed it off, and very ill at ease under the influence of cold and lingering nausea, sat up and spread open the injured tome on my knee. It was a testament in lean type and smelling dreadfully musty. A flyleaf bore the inscription Catherine Earnshaw, her book, and the date some quarter of a century back. I shut it and took up another and another till I had examined all. Catherine's library was to let, and its state of dilapidation proved it to have been well used, though not altogether for a legitimate purpose. Scarcely one chapter had escaped a pen and ink commentary, at least the appearance of one, covering every morsel of blank that the printer had left. Some were detached sentences, other parts took the form of a regular diary, scrawled in an unformed childish hand. At the top of an extra page, quite a treasure probably when first lighted on, I was greatly amused to behold an excellent caricature of my friend Joseph, rudely yet powerfully sketched. Mr. X, hello! An immediate interest kindled within me for the unknown Catherine, and I began forthwith to decipher her faded hieroglyphics. Mr. X, if you want to jump in my Discord, you should already have access to the live collaboration channel, and you can join in if you like. After all, we do need translators for certain sections of this. Okay. An awful Sunday, commenced the paragraph beneath. I wish my father were back again. Hindley is a detestable substitute. His conduct to Heathcliff is atrocious. H and I are going to rebel. We took our initiatory step this evening. Hello! Oh, I just heard you, I think. Yes, I did hear you. Now I can get rid of that thing. There we are. Yes, I can still hear you. Yes, it probably would be. Okay. Right, how's this going to work? Shall I continue and you can interrupt, have a laugh, whatever? Alright, great to have you on the stream. All day had been flooding with rain. We could not go to church, so Joseph must needs get up a congregation in the garret, and while Hindley and his wife basked downstairs before a comfortable fire, doing everything but reading their Bibles, I'll answer for it, Heathcliff, myself, and the unhappy ploughboy were commanded to take our prayer books and mount, okay, We were arranged in a we were arranged in a row on a sack of corn, groaning. Groaning and shivering, I mean, obviously groaning and shivering, so that he might have, so that he might give us a short homily for his own sake. What's a homily? Yeah. Let's move on. A vain idea. The service lasted precisely 3 hours, and yet my brother had the face to exclaim when he saw us descending, "What, done already?" Hang on, I should have made a voice then, shouldn't I? What, done already? On Sunday evenings we used to be permitted to play if we did not make much noise. Now a mere titter is sufficient. Is sufficient to send us into corners. Yes. You forget you have a master here, says the tyrant. I'll demolish the first who puts me out of temper. I insist on perfect sobriety and silence. Oh boy, was that you? Francis, darling, pull his hair as you go by. I heard him snap his fingers. Francis pulled his hair heartily and then went and seated herself on her husband's knee. And there they were, like two babies, kissing and oh my god. Babies do not do that. Mm. Kissing and talking nonsense by the hour. Foolish palaver that we should be ashamed of. We made ourselves as snug as our means allowed in the arch of the dresser. I had just fastened our pinafores together. That doesn't sound right. This is gonna head into even weirder. I don't know. Yeah, and yeah, it was all hidden, wasn't it? Yes. And hung them up for a curtain. Oh, I see. So they could hide behind that and do their. Yeah, okay. When in comes Joseph on an errand from the stables, he tears down my handiwork, boxes my ears, and croaks, "Meister Norbert just buried and Sabbath not urd and 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 and, and sound at gospel still you lads, and you dare be laking. Shame on you, sit you down, ill childer. It's good books enough if you'll read them. Sit you down and think of your sorrows." Okay, so I think we have to turn to you to understand what that actually means. I think of you, and think of your souls. I think, and yes. so so laking is that 19th century for lurking or you were well done. So there we are. So this has vindicated the decision to have you here to be our translator. Whee! Oh, right, who's saying this now? I don't know who's speaking now. It looks like a male voice again, probably. Uh, the tyrants, I think. Okay. Saying this, he compelled us to square our positions that we might receive from the far off fire a dull ray to show us the text of the lumber he thrust upon us. I could not. This isn't spoken, is it? This is narration. Yeah, that shouldn't be there. Okay, so I'm practicing the sort of feminine voice, so I'll get back to that because the narration is I'm trying to do that in a more feminine voice. So let's go. Saying this, he compelled us so to square our positions that we might receive from the far off fire a dull ray to show us the text of the lumber he thrust upon us. I could not bear the employment. I took my dingy volume by the scroop. I don't know what a scoop is. And hurled it into the dog kennel, vowing I hated a good book. Heathcliff kicked his to the same place. Then there was a hubbub. Meister Hindley, shouted our chaplain. Meister, come hither. Miss Cathy's riven the back of the helmet of salvation, and Heathcliff's paused his fit into first part of Brewer's way to destruction. It's fair fleysome that ye let him go on this gate. Eh, thou'd man words have laced him properly, but he's gone. I know, yeah. I mean, there probably won't be any, because that's Welsh, but, somehow I managed to get a in there. So what does so what does that all mean? So gate. I mean, gate spelled that way is how you walk, and Right, this bit seems to be more narration to me. So, mm. Hindley hurried up from his paradise on the hearth, and seizing one of us by the collar and the other by the arm, hurled both into the back kitchen, where Joseph asseverated, whatever that means. Out Nick would fetch us as sure as we were living, and so comforted we each sought a separate nook to await his advent. I reached his book and a pot of ink from a shelf, and pushed the house down ajar to give me light, and I have got the time on with writing for 20 minutes, but my companion is impatient and grips a lot, and proposes that we should appropriate the day woman's cloak and have us scamper on the moors, Woo! Under its shelter. A pleasant suggestion. Pleasant suggestion. Yes, I would say a pleasant suggestion. and and then and then if this silly old man come in, he may believe his prophecy verified. We cannot be damper or colder in the rain than we are here. Okay, I'm going to revert to normal voice now. It's I play that back and I'll see how I did, but it's I'm partly doing it just for fun, and partly doing it because sometime I might be addressed in a ladies' toilet or something, and well, anyway, let's never mind about that. I suppose Catherine. Yes, that's it. Yes, I suppose Catherine fulfilled her project. For the next sentence, took up another subject. She waxed lachrymose. I don't know. Lachrymose. I'm obviously going to be publishing this later. You know, this is a proper voiceover. This is, you know. Yeah. How little did I dream that Hindley would ever make me cry so, she wrote. Oh, this is a woman, so I don't mind doing the voiceover. I'll do that again. My head aches till I cannot keep it on the pillow, and still I can't give over. Poor Heathcliff! Hindley calls him a vagabond, and won't let him sit with us, nor eat with us any more, and he says he and I must not play together, and threatens to turn him out of the house if we break his orders. He has been blaming our father, how dared he, for treating H too liberally, and swears he will reduce him to this right place. I began to drown. I began. I began to. It's harder than it looks, isn't it, to read? Yeah. I began to drown in my tears. Oh. I began. We're only going to get through chapter 3, aren't we? Not 4. I began to nod drowsily over the dim page. My eye wandered from manuscript to print. I saw a red ornamented title, 70 times 7, and the first of the 71st, a pious discourse delivered by the Reverend Jabez Branderham in the chapel of Gimmerden Sow. And while I was half consciously worrying my brain to guess what Jabez Branderham would make of his subject, I sank back in bed and fell asleep. Alas for the efforts of bad tea and bad temper. What else could it be that made me pass such a terrible night? I don't remember another that I can at all compare with it since I was capable of suffering. I began to dream almost before I ceased to be sensible of my locality. I thought it was morning, and I had set out on my way home, with Joseph for a guide. The snow lay yards deep in our road, and as we floundered on, my companion wearied me with constant reproaches that I had not brought a pilgrim's staff. You should always bring a pilgrim's staff. Telling me that I could... I don't know, but it sounds good. Telling me that I could never get into the house without one, and boastfully flourishing a heavy-headed cudgel, which I understood to be so denominated. So a cudgel is part of a denomination? Isn't that a church thing? Absolutely, yes. Dominated, yes. Yes, there's a misprint there, isn't there? Yes. Hmm. For a moment I considered it absurd that I should need such a weapon to gain admittance into my own residence. Then a new idea flashed across me. Flashed? Oh, here we go again. I was not going there. We were journeying to hear the famous Yahweh Branderham preach from the text. 70 times 7. So that's 490, isn't it? Why didn't he just call it 490? Yeah. Yes. And either Joseph the preacher or I had committed the first of the 71st, and we were to be, oh, here we go again, publicly exposed and excommunicated. Yeah. We came to the chapel. I know that's chapel, I don't know. It's me being a knob. I have said it really in my walks twice. An elevated hollow near a swamp, whose peaty moisture is said to answer all the purposes of embalming on the few corpses deposited there. So this could be Richard Attenborough, couldn't it? You know? Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason, does there, really? There are actually audiobook versions of this. How did someone manage to do that? Maybe English is a second language. Maybe that's the way. I don't know. Well, I think we know enough English that we've been corrupted, and that's. The roof has been kept whole hitherto, but as a clergyman's stipend is only £20 per annum, and a house with 2 rooms threatening speedily to determine into one, what does that mean? Uh, no clergyman will. Yes, we do appreciate that. And I'm burping again. Pork bolognese apparently is not good for uh, a clean reading. No clergyman, no clergyman will undertake the duties of pastor, especially as it is currently reported that his flock would rather let him starve than increase the living by 1 penny from their own pockets. However, in my dream, Jabez, or is it supposed to be Jabez? I don't know. Hmm. Jabez had a full and attentive congregation, and he preached. Good God, what a sermon! Divided into 490 parts. Oh, there we are, 490. There it is. Each fully equal to. Yes. So we've managed to pick up one of the threads, anyway. Yes. Each fully equal to an ordinary address from the pulpit, and each discussing a separate sin. Where he searched for them, I cannot tell. He had his private manner of interpreting the phrase, as we all do, and it seemed necessary the brothers should sin different sins on every occasion. Mm, they were of the most curious character, odd transgressions that I never imagined previously. I don't think we have imagined the stuff previously that goes on in here. Have we really? Yes, but not previously, not prior to have been reading this. That's my point. I think there's new stuff in here. Absolutely, yes. Oh, how weary I grew. How I writhed. Here we go again. And yawned and nodded and revived. How I pinched and pricked myself. And what, masochism now, is it? I don't know. And rubbed my eyes and stood up and sat down again and nudged Joseph to inform me if he would ever have done. I was condemned to hear all out. Finally, he reached the first of the 71st. At that crisis, a sudden inspiration descended upon me. I was moved to rise and denounce Jabez Brandaham as the sinner of the sin that no Christian needs pardon. Now I've completely forgotten who this is we're talking about, but he's about to say something, or she. Yeah, Yeah, no, no. I remember this being in first person. I just can't remember who that first person is. Yes, yes, I. Sir, I exclaimed, sitting here within these four walls, at one stretch, I have endured and forgiven the 490 heads of your discourse. 70 times 7 times have I plucked up my hat and been about to depart. 70 times 7 times have you preposterously forced me to resume my seat. The 491st is too much. Fellow martyrs, harrow him, drag him down and crush him into atoms, that the place which knows him may know him no more. Thou art the man, cried Jabez after a solemn pause, leaning over his cushion. 70 times 7 times didst thou gapingly contort thy visage. 70 times 7 did I take counsel with my soul. Lo, this is human weakness, and this also may be absolved. The first of the 71st is come. Brethren, execute upon him the judgments written. Such honour have all his saints. Sudoku. Hey, you got it right. That's good. That's all it takes. With that concluding word, the whole assembly, exalting their pilgrims' staves, rushed round me in a body, and I, having no weapon to raise in self-defence, commenced grappling with Joseph, my nearest and most ferocious assailant, for his. In the confluence of the multitude, several clubs crossed. Blows aimed at me fell on the sconces. Presently the whole chapel resounded with rappings and counter-rappings. Every man's hand was against his neighbour, and Branderham, unwilling to remain idle, poured forth his zeal in a shower of loud taps on the board. In a shower of loud taps. Yeah, I know. On the boards of the pulpit, which responded so smartly that at last, to my unspeakable relief, they woke me. And what and what was it that had suggested the tremendous tumult? You're not joking, are you? I I think it's possibly slightly worse than mine. I'm not sure, but I don't seem to be choking. So Watson played Jabez's part in the row. Merely the branch of a fir tree that touched my lattice. Oh, okay. That's the blast oiled by. And rattled its dry cones against the panes. I listened doubtingly. I instant, detected the disturber, then turned and dozed and dreamt again, if possible, still more disagreeably than before. Of course. This time, yeah, this time I remembered I was lying in the oak closet, and I heard distinctly the gusty wind and the driving of the snow. I heard also the fir bough repeat its teasing sound. Teasing sound. Yeah. Uh, and ascribed it to the right cause, but it annoyed me so much that I resolved to silence it if possible, and I thought I rose and endeavoured to unhasp the casement. Even that sounds a bit, The hook was soldered into the stamp. Oh my god! I was trying to do a sexy voice. The hook. I I guess it's only Joey from Friends that can do the sexy voice. That is quite hard to do, to be fair. A circumstance observed by me when awake, but forgotten. I must stop it nevertheless, I muttered, knocking my knuckles through the glass and stretching an arm out to seize the importunate branch. What the hell does importunate mean? Ah. Instead of which, my fingers closed on the fingers of a little ice cold hand. Okay. Yeah. um, I'm just highlighting these so I remember where I am because I'm so used to losing my place. The intense horror of nightmare came upon me. I tried to draw back my arm, but the hands clung to it, and the most melancholy voice sobbed, "Let me in! Let me in!" Yeah. "Who are you?" I asked, struggling meanwhile to disengage myself. "Catherine Linton," it replied, shivering. Why did I think of Linton? I had read in Shaw 20 times for Linton. "I'm come home. I'd lost my way on the moor." As it spoke, I discerned obscurely a child's face looking through the window. Terror made me cruel, and, finding it useless to attempt shaking the creature off, I pulled its wrist on the broken pane and rubbed it to and fro till the blood ran down and soaked the bedclothes. Still it wailed, "Let me in!" and maintained its tenacious gripe, almost maddening me with fear. There's definitely nothing sexy about that. "How can I said at length. "Let me go if you want me to let you in." The fingers relaxed. I snatched mine through the hole, hurriedly piled the books up in a pyramid against it, and stopped my ears to exclude the lamentable prayer. I seemed to keep them closed above a quarter of an hour, yet the instant I listened again, there was the doleful cry moaning on. "Begone!" I shouted. I'm sure the I is a he. "I'll never let you in." I mean, he's just been fighting, hasn't? Well, they have just been fighting, so you can't imagine that. The writing of a. maybe you're right anyway. Oh, begone! I shouted. I'll never let you in. Not if you beg for 20 years. It is 20 years, moaned the voice. 20 years. I've been away for 20 years. Theriot began a feeble scratching outside, and the pile of books moved as if thrust forward. I tried to jump up, but could not stir a limb, and so yelled aloud in a frenzy of fright. To my confusion, I discovered the yell was not ideal. Hasty footsteps approached my chamber door. Somebody pushed it open with a vigorous hand, and a light glimmered through the squares at the top of the bed. I sat shuddering yet, and wiping the perspiration from my forehead. The intruder appeared to hesitate and muttered to himself. At last he said in a half whisper, plainly not expecting an answer, "Is anyone here?" So I can do creepy. I can't do sexy, but I can do creepy. That's wonderful. Fantastic! I mean, that explains my whole life, you know. Yes, probably needs to be a bit breathier, yeah. I do. I get where you're coming from, yeah. I considered it best to confess my presence, for I knew Heathcliff's accent and feared he might search further if I kept quiet. With this intention, I turned and opened the panels. I shall not soon forget the effect my action produced. Don't forget, chat, there will be a test at the end of tonight's stream to make sure that you comprehended chapter 3. I don't think Kathy is I because Catherine Linton it replied shiveringly. Yeah, but that's not I, is it? Who are you? I asked. Yeah. Where was I? With this intention, I turned and opened the panels. I shall not soon forget the effect my action produced. Heathcliff stood near the entrance in his shirt and trousers, with a candle dripping over his fingers and his face as white as the wall behind him. The first creak of the oak startled him like an electric shock. The lights leapt, I would like to say, rather leaped. So I'm going to. Yeah. The light leapt from his hold to a distance of some feet, and his agitation was so extreme that he could hardly pick it up. "It is only your guest, sir," I called. "Oh, yeah, that's right. I was the person at the start who was seeking lodgings. Do you remember? Chapter 1 last week, or maybe you were not here at that time." I haven't encountered a goblin yet, but it wouldn't surprise me, I don't think. I mean, this priest guy seems very much like Jareth the Goblin King from Labyrinth to me. Yeah. Yes. Educational student. Yes. It is only your guest, sir, I called out, desirous to spare him the humiliation of exposing his cowardice further. I had the misfortune to scream in my sleep owing to a frightful nightmare. I'm sorry I disturbed you. Ah, here we are. I is Mr. Lockwood. Oh, God confound you, Mr. Lockwood. I wish you were at the commenced my host, setting a candle on a chair because he found it impossible to hold it steady. And who showed you up into this room? He continued, crushing his nails into his palms and grinding his teeth to subdue the maxillary convulsions. Who was it? I've a good mind to turn them out of the house this moment. What is maxillary? Aye, please. You are Chief Googler. In fact, we should ask ChatGPT whatever this book is about, shouldn't we? That's all we need to do. So I guess that makes sense. Grinding his teeth to subdue the maxillary convulsions. So his jaw was going or something like that. Ah, there, shivering. Yes, yes, shivering from the excitement of what has happened previously. Does anyone understand this work in the 1850s or whenever it was? Yeah. Probably. It was your servant Zilla, I replied, flinging myself, here we go again, flinging myself onto the floor and rapidly resuming my garments. I should not care if you did, Mr. Heathcliff. She richly deserves it. I suppose that she wanted to get another proof that the place was haunted at my expense. Well, it is. Swarming with ghosts and goblins. You were right, goblins! Oh, yeah. Yeah. You read forward, didn't you? You knew this was coming up. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was very profound. You have reason in shutting it up, I assure you. No one will thank you for a doze in such a den. I don't know, if we scared off chat, no one's. What do you mean, asked Heathcliff? And what are you doing? Lie down and finish out the night, since you are here. But for heaven's sake, don't repeat that horrid noise. Nothing could excuse it, unless you were having your throat cut. If this little fiend had got in at the window, she probably would have strangled me, I returned. I'm not going to endure the persecutions of your hospitable ancestors again. Was not the Reverend Jabez Branderham akin to you on the mother's side? And that minx, Catherine Linton, or Earnshaw, or however she was called, she must have been a changeling. Wicked little soul. She told me she had been walking the earth these 20 years, a just punishment for her mortal transgressions, I've no doubt. There must have been a lot of mortal transgressions. I think all of the characters in this. Scarcely were these words uttered when I recollected the association of Heathcliff's with Catherine's name in the book, which had completely slipped from my memory till thus awakened. I blushed at my inconsideration, but, without showing further consciousness of the offence, I hastened to add, "The truth is, sir, I passed the first night. I passed the first part of the night in." Here I stopped afresh. I was about to say, perusing those old volumes. Then it would have revealed my knowledge of their written as well as their printed contents. What's the difference? So, correcting myself, I went on, in spelling over the name scratched on that window ledge, a monotonous occupation calculated to set me asleep like counting or. "What can you mean by talking this way to me?" thundered Heathcliff with savage vehemence. "Thank you." How dare you, under my roof? God, he's mad to speak so." And he struck his forehead with rage. I did not know whether to resent this language or pursue my explanation. But he seemed so powerfully affected that I took pity and proceeded with my dreams, affirming I had never heard the appellation of Catherine Linton before. The appellation? I feel like I should know what that means, but I don't. Yes. APPELL. Yes. So they could have just said, affirming I had never heard the name Catherine Linton before. Yeah. These are the posh Yorkshire people. You're reading too much into this. But reading it often overproduced an impression which personified itself when I had no longer my imagination under control. I'm just thinking, there's kind of posh and then there's fake posh like Jacob Rees-Mogg. I'm thinking these are fake posh, personally, but I don't know. Heathcliff gradually fell back into the shelter of the bed as I spoke, finally sitting down, almost concealed behind it, I guess. I guessed, however, by his irregular and intercepted breathing, that he struggled to vanquish an excess of violent emotion. So he was breathing heavily and has a bit of a rage on. Yeah, okay. Not liking to show him that I had heard the conflict, I continued my toilette. I don't know. Well, he's reading these books, isn't he? He probably is on the toilet. looked at my watch, and soliloquized on the length of the night. So that means spoke unto the length of the night, I think, basically. Yeah, so he spaketh thus, or something. I don't know. He spaketh thus. Not 3 o'clock yet. I could have taken oath it had been 6. Time stagnates here. We must surely have retired to rest at 8. Always at 9 in winter and rise at 4, said my host, suppressing a groan, and, as I fancied by the motion of his arm's shadow, dashing a tear from his eyes. Mr. Lockwood, he added, you may go into my room. You'll only be in the way, coming downstairs so early, and your childish outcry has sent sleep to the devil for me. And for me too, I replied. I'll walk in the yard till daylight, and then I'll be off. And you need not dread a repetition of my intrusion. I'm now quite cured of seeking pleasure in society, be it country or town. A sensible man ought to find sufficient company in himself. Delightful company, muttered Heathcliff. Take the candle and go where you please. I shall join you directly. Keep out of the yard, though. The dogs are unchained, and the house... I just realised I haven't checked that people can hear you. I assume they can because nobody said anything. But would you say something? Yeah, no one can hear you except me. That's... Yeah, let me just fix that a minute. I mean, I've got desktop audio on and it doesn't... There.
I tell you what, listening to it back's going to be hilarious for you because it's just you talking to yourself for half the stream. Responding to things and have no idea what you're responding to.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
Do you know what? You're learning.
Chat. Now I know why everyone's disappeared.
Making sense now.
No, everyone hasn't disappeared. Marius is still here. Thank you so much for putting up with that.
Oh no! Warriors, can you hear me now? If you can hear me, write sausage in chat. Oh, well that's answered it.
There we are, okay.
To be fair. Oh yeah, oh, okay!
Right, how much have we got left to go with this chapter? We can get through just this chapter, can't we? We're not
yeah.
the next one. But...
No, because I go for my tea in 6 minutes. And we know for next time.
I'll walk in the yard till daylight, and then I'll be off. And you need not dread a repetition of my intrusion. I'm now quite cured of seeking pleasure in society, be it country or town. A sensible man ought to find sufficient company in himself.
Bet he does.
But you know, saliva builds up, and it's difficult to get rid of it quick enough. And,
as we know from a few singing times.
Delightful company, muttered Heathcliff. Take the candle and go where you please. I shall join you directly. Keep out of the yard, though. The dogs are unchained and the house. Juno mounts sentinel. Here we go again. Juno mounts sentinel there. And nay,
don't be mounting anyone. There's sufficient company in yourself.
So yeah. Now we've got dogs going at it.
Told you, animal love all over.
You can only ramble about the steps and passages, but away with you. I'll come in 2 minutes. I'm sorry. my nose is also kind of getting a little bit blocked up, and that's not helping.
Oh, no, won't be.
I obeyed so far as to quit the chamber, when, ignorant where the narrow lobbies led, I stood still and was witness involuntarily to a piece of superstition on the part of my landlord, which belied oddly his apparent sense. He got on to the bed and wrenched open the lattice, bursting as he pulled at it into an uncontrollable passion of tears. Come in, he sobbed. Kathy, do come. Oh, do, once more. Oh, my heart's darling. Hear me this time, Catherine. At last. The spectre showed the spectre's ordinary caprice. It gave no sign. Did I pronounce that correctly? Caprice?
I think so. That's how I'd say it.
Okay.
Is this a ghost? Is Kathy a ghost?
I think at some point in the story she's meant to be a ghost, but I thought it was further on, later on in the story, rather than now. But what do I know?
No comment.
It gave no sign of being, but the snow and wind whirled wildly through, even reaching my station and blowing out the lights. There was such anguish in the gush of grief that accompanied this raving that my compassion made me overlook its folly, and I drew off, half angry to have listened at all, and vexed at having related my ridiculous nightmare, since it produced that agony, though why was beyond my comprehension. I descended cautiously to the lower regions. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I.
And landed in the back kitchen.
Wait, a bit of all sorts.
Wait, I think we can turn anything into something that's a bit
I told you! I've got a special brain for it.
Where a gleam of fire raked compactly together, aye,
Hey, up.
enabled me to rekindle my candle.
Oh, I bet it did.
Kindle the flame. Ooh.
Whoa. Nothing was stirring. I beg to disagree.
Nothing was stirring except for that thing down south.
Exactly.
A brindled grey cat which crept
Doesn't
the
sound
ashes,
very attractive, southern thing.
and saluted me with a querulous meow or mew.
Querulous, questionable, questioning meow, maybe.
Querulous.
Do you want me to Google that word?
Yes, please.
QU. What? You literally read it.
QUER.
Yep.
ULOUS.
Complaining in a rather petulant or whining manner.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yep.
2 benches, shaped in sections of a circle, nearly enclosed the hearth. On one of these I stretched myself. Oh, okay. And Grimalkin mount. Oh God, here we go again.
There's a lot of mounting in this story.
Mounted the other. We were both of us. I can't think what that could mean other than, well, mounted.
I know. But they keep everything's mounting everything in this story. That's what's really throwing me off. It's just perpetual mounting. To say she's got so many good words for everything else, mounting seems to be the word that pops up again and again and again and again and again. Got issues.
Climb every mounting.
Oh dear.
We were both of us nodding ear. Oh no, we were both of us nodding ear. Anyone invaded our retreat. I think that's right.
Yeah.
And then it was Joseph, shuffling down a wooden ladder that vanished in the roof, through a trap. The ascent to his garret, I suppose. Okay, what's a garret?
On it.
Thank you.
I'm going to say, like, his little home. The garret is a top floor or attic room, especially a small dismal one.
Yeah, it's sort of hole
Gathered
in
that.
which he lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
He cast a sinister look at the little flame which I had enticed to play between the ribs, swept the cat from its elevation, and bestowing himself in the vacancy, commenced the operation of stuffing a 3-inch pipe with tobacco. My presence in his sanctum was evidently esteemed a piece of impudence too shameful for remark. He silently applied the tube to his lips, folded his arms, and puffed away. I let him enjoy the luxury unannoyed, and after sucking out his last wreath, no, I can't be having this!
Oh, you know where my head's going.
Yes, the same place my head's gone.
Oh.
And heaving, yeah, of course, heaving a profound sigh. He
Having a
got
good
up
time.
and departed as solemnly as he came. Solemnly?
Oh, he came
yeah,
solemnly?
right.
I think he was quite excited.
A more elastic footstep entered next, and now I opened my mouth for a good morning, but closed it again, the salutation unachieved, for Harrington Earnshaw was performing his orison.
I'd say Orison, but I've heard of Horizon and I haven't heard of Orison, so I don't know.
I'm going to call it orison. Horizon sounds too much like horizon.
I agree. And that's got a Z in it.
Voce. I think that's right. I think I can get the Italian bit. Oh, it's
just not the English.
Yes.
The English is too hard. The Italian's spot on.
In a series of curses directed against every object he touched, while he rummaged a corner for a spade or shovel to dig through the drifts, he glanced over the back of the bench, dilating his nostrils. Okay, yeah.
Skill. Okay, can I? I don't know if I can do that.
Well, perfect your nostrils, I guess. Like that.
I don't know what the snort was.
It makes your voice sound weird. It makes my voice sound weird anyway. Not that it doesn't sound weird anyway, but.
Oh, that is not. I mean, when you try and sound sexy, yes, but any other time, it's fine. And we're going to work on that. It's fine.
And thought as little of exchanging civilities with me as my companion the cat. I guessed by his preparations that egress was allowed, and leaving my hard couch, made a movement to follow him. I thought he was going to be hard something else then, but he noticed it and thrust at an inner door. Of course, thrust at an inner door.
Of course, thrusting. At least they're not mounting.
With the end of his spade.
Oh, is that another word for it now?
Apparently. I think every word is a word for penis now, isn't it? Isn't it
Absolutely
every word in the English language is another word for penis.
It definitely is. Or breasts, one or the other.
Yes. Intimating by an inarticulate sounds that there was the place where I must go if I changed my locality. It opened into the house. That is a comment, Warriors, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to say, you can't just say no comment. It is a comment. You're commenting that you're making no comment.
The best comment you can make is what you've been making the entire stream, with no comments at all.
But we welcome the comments, even if they're no comments.
We do.
Yes. It opens into the house where the females were already astir. Aye.
Why? Aye.
Zilla.
Oh, aye. Oh. Ooh,
Zilla
urging flakes of
did-
flame.
Up the chimney.
Up there, chimney?
With a colossal bellows.
Oh, Mrs. Heathcliff's kneeling.
And Mrs. Heathcliff kneeling on the hearth, reading a book by the aid of the blaze.
Ah.
She held her hand interposed between the furnace heat and her eyes, and seemed absorbed in her occupation, desisting from it only to chide the servant for covering her with sparks. I bet he did. Or to push away a dog now and then that snoozled its nose.
What a cute word!
Yeah.
It must mean snuffled.
Over forwardly into her face. I was surprised to see Heathcliff there also. He stood by the fire, his back towards me, just finishing a stormy scene with poor Zilla, who ever and anon interpreted her labour to pluck up the corner of her apron and leave an indignant groan. And you worthless, he broke out as I entered, turning to his daughter-in-law and implying an epithet as harmless as duck or sheep, but generally represented by a dash. There you are at your idle tricks again. The rest of them do earn their bread. You live on my charity. Put your trash away and find something to do. You shall pay me for the plague of having you eternally in my sight. Do you hear, damnable jade?
They're savage in this story.
Do you know, just an aside, I remember in English lessons we were occasionally reading from a book, and I used to put on these inflections, and no one else did it. Everyone else was boring, and people used to laugh at me. But I don't know. I think
I know.
it's a good thing.
That's how you should read, yeah. I once stood up in front of the class to read poetry, and we were doing like a witch's brew. So it was like a witch's potion. So I read it like a witch, like, oh yeah, like doing it. Everyone laughed at me. But I was like, if we're going to be witches, let's be witches. Like, surely that's the point of it. You've got to perform text and like reading stories and poems and things like that. It's all a performance. I think you did the right thing.
And
The teacher within me is very proud.
We are both amazing Twitch streamers with huge followings. And
Absolutely we are. It's all paid off. Our talents have been recognised.
yes. Actually, to be fair, I like a small following. It means I can keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
It's I know streamers that had well, I know one streamer anyway that had a small following, and she wishes it was still a small following. I mean, she's making more money now, but
Yeah.
she can't keep up with everyone.
No, and you feel bad. I like knowing who the people in my community are and getting more personal connections with them.
Yeah,
It means a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. I'll put my trash away because you can make me if I refuse, answered the young lady, closing her book and throwing it on a chair. But I'll not do anything, though you should swear your tongue out, except what I please. I don't get what that means.
Right. Robin, honestly.
Swear your tongue out. I guess that means though you should swear. I guess.
Okay. We don't know. We're guessing a lot of this story.
Yeah. And I did see you typed in, I agree. I think that was while I was talking about the inflections, and I do appreciate that. Ninja Warriors, I did see it, I just didn't comment at the time. Heathcliff lifted his hand, and the speaker sprang to a safer distance, obviously acquainted with its weight. Having no desire to be entertained by a cat and dog combat, I stepped forward briskly, as if eager to partake the warmth of the hearth, and innocent of any knowledge of the interrupted dispute. Each had enough decorum to suspend further hostilities. Heathcliff, Heathcliff placed his fists, out of temptation, in his pockets, and Mrs. Heathcliff, I got it right that time, not Heathcliff.
Bravo.
And then I stopped because I thought I got it wrong. So
Thus the flow was ruined.
Yes, Mrs. Heathcliff curled her lip and walked to a seat far off, where she kept her words by playing the part of a statue during the remainder of my stay. That was not long. I declined joining their breakfast, and at the first gleam of dawn took an opportunity of escaping into the free air, now clear and still and cold as impalpable ice. My landlord hallooed for me to stop ere I reached the bottom of the garden. So that is right, ere. That's before. That's Old English for before. Ere is Old English for before.
Before, yeah.
And offered to accompany me across the moor. Moor is kind of like a bog or a field, I guess.
It's a massive like uncultivated maybe field, so there's lots of wildflowers and things.
Yeah.
Lots of moors around me. I went past the moors. Actually, I went past Haworth today, which is where the Brontes lived, because I went to Keighley, which is Haworth's on the way there. So I passed the moors that thus we are talking about today on the bus.
Excellent.
Very nice.
It was well he did, for the whole hill back was one billowy white ocean. The swells and falls, not swells, yes, of course. Of course there has to be swells. Not indicating corresponding rises and depressions in the ground. Many pits, at least, were filled to a level, and entire ranges of mounds, the refuse of the quarries. Is that right? The refuse? The
refuse, maybe.
The refuse of the quarries. Blotted from the charts which my yesterday's walk left pictured in my mind. I had remarked on one side of the road, at intervals of 6 or 7 yards, a light of upright stones continued through the whole length of the barren. These were erected and daubed with lime on purpose to serve as guides in the dark, and also when a fall, like the present, confounded the deep swamps on either hand with the firmer path. But excepting a dirty dot pointing up here and there, all traces of their existence had vanished, and my companion found it necessary to warn me frequently to steer to the right or left, when I imagined I was following correctly the windings of the road. Oh, we're getting to the end now.
This has been a long chapter.
No, it hasn't. We just made it long.
Yeah, fair point.
We exchanged little conversation, and he halted at the entrance of Thrushcross Park, saying, I could make no error there. Our adieu were limited to a hasty bow, and then it just has to be a non-English word, and then I can pronounce it correctly.
It's perfect. Oh. Do you not speak English?
I not speak as Englishy.
I didn't think so.
Our adieu were limited to a hasty bow, and then I pushed forward, trusting to my own resources, for the porter's lodge is untenanted as yet. The distance from the gate to the Grange is 2 miles. I believe I managed to make it 4, what with losing myself among the trees and sinking up to the neck in snow. A predicament which only those who have experienced it can appreciate. At any rate, she burps again. At any rate, whatever were my wanderings, the clock chimed 12 as I entered the house, and that gave exactly an hour for every mile of the usual way from Wuthering Heights.
Ooh,
Final
title mention.
chapter.
Boo-ba-doo-boo. Paragraph.
The final paragraph, yes. I said chapter, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Well,
Alas.
that will. I made the paragraph as you so rightly.
It's the
corrected
final
me.
paragraph. Doo-doo-doo. There we go.
Yes. My human fixture and his satellites rushed to welcome me, exclaiming tumultuously that they had completely given me up.
I'm very impressed, by the way, with your pronunciation of that tumultuously. You did that quite flawlessly and without any sort of stoppage. I would definitely have had to think about that a bit more. I'm just saying 10 out of 10 for that word. Well done. I'm very pleased with you. You're welcome.
I mean, I can do it when my mind's not in the gutter. And I can do it when my mind's in the gutter and there's nothing dirty about it. Which, there are precious few paragraphs.
Oh, Warriors has given you 100 out of 100.
Oh, thank you. Except I've forgotten where I was. No, here we are. Everybody conjectured that I perished last night, and they were wondering how they must set about the search for my remains. I bid them be quiet, now that they saw me returned, and benumbed to my very heart, I dragged upstairs, whence, after putting on dry clothes, and pacing to and fro 30 or 40 minutes to restore the animal heat, I adjourned to my study, feeble as a kitten, almost too much so to enjoy the cheerful fire and smoking coffee which the servant had prepared for my refreshment.
Yay!
We did it! Woo! Well, we did half of what we were going to do, but I think one chapter is enough given where our minds are.
Yeah, I agree. And I've still to make my tea. But no, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I mean, alas, with no idea what I was saying for the first 3/4 or so of the stream. But that's okay. I look forward to watching it back and just seeing you talk to yourself. That's going to be hilarious.
Yes, there'll probably be a clippage point in the middle if we can find it, where I realised, oh, actually, I haven't checked. Yeah.
Mad. No, I've had a blast. Thank you.
And thank you, Warriors, for staying here throughout the whole thing.
Thank you, Warriors.
And you are also fantastic. I'm sorry you're not well, but I do hope you get better soon. And I'm just gonna. Well, I will reach out to someone. Tomorrow
I'll head off while you say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Misty.
Okay, no problem. See you later. Thank you, Robin.
All right, so I will be streaming tomorrow, and that will be music. I think it's going to be music practice on Wednesdays and proper music on Sundays. I do a gaming stream on Mondays, and I do this on Tuesdays. There might be other streams here and there, but that's the thing. Thank you so much for being with me, and anyone who's lurking as well. Thank you so much for being here. Let me give you the raid thingy, Bob. I need to change that into the actual rocks that I've made emotes, and also my points for thingy bob, for what they called. Can't remember now. Channel points. Yes. So let me find someone now. I'm going to raid into Starguide if I can, who's streaming Elite Dangerous, because that's the game that I'm playing on Mondays. And please stay for the raid. Once the raid is over, you are welcome to remain at the stream or depart. Oh, thank you as well. It was great last week, but even better this week. And yeah, thank you so much. So take care. I hope you have a good night's sleep, and I will see you again soon.